Hello and welcome back to the channel. Right, today I'm going to try and demonstrate something that is really difficult to demonstrate. I'm going to try and show you the lip, the Loquelic Iteritas Persido. Now the reason I don't like demoing this is because quite frankly I have no bloody idea what it's going to do when I plug it in. Every time I plug it in, it does something different. I love it, but it's really difficult to try and demonstrate other than I just play with it and something happens. Now, I haven't used it for a while. Actually, a little bit of backstory here. The very first sound source I got was the Loquelic for my little palette case. And I used to play it with Mother 32 and a DFAM. With a few effects, and it worked really well, and I got really into it. But then as I bought other things, I got more into those, and I kind of fell out of love with it. And I've not used it for about a year, and I've had a request to show it off again, which is scaring me because I have no idea what's going to happen today. So I didn't bother preparing anything because, quite frankly, it'll probably come out completely differently to what I expected. So yeah, let's see what happens. So, okay, so I've just zoomed in a little bit so that we can see this today. I've got the drums patched here, which is with the squid, which is down here. Same patch as previous ones. If you want to see, have a look at my previous video. You can see it in a wider view. But it's got a hat and some kick and then side chain to the main source here. Now, if I can, I'll try and bring in the ataraxic, but quite honestly, I'll probably just play with this and see what happens. Because it'll probably go completely mad, but we'll see. I'm going to try and modulate the four parameters here with the four inputs from four outputs from Mimetic. But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, no idea how this is going to go, but if I can, we'll try and make it some kind of maybe acid bassline, and I'll explain how I do that as I go along. Right, so a quick backstory on the Loquelic. It comes in two forms. You get this enormous version which has attack, release, and time for an envelope, and you've got an envelope out. And you can modulate the four inputs here with that envelope or via external modulation, which I'll do from the Mimetic. And also, if you really, really are mad, you can modulate the two oscillators here with the envelope. But you end up with lasers, and I pretty much hate lasers. It's fine for a second, but you soon get bored of that. So the smaller version is the same size as the ataraxic. It's just a free running. You can put it in free running mode here, which will do exactly the same as the smaller version, and all these envelopes will be void. But I'm going to just not demonstrate. I'm just going to go straight into trigger mode. We'll use the Metropolix and we'll get started. Let's see what we can get out of it. Right, so first of all, let's get a clock going. And like I said, as previous patches, everything is clock resets. Master clock here, clock reset, clock reset, clock reset, and a clock going into the mimeophone if we use it, but not really sure I'm going to use the mimeophone today. So it's fully dry. I might just use it as for shorter patch cables to get across to my VCA here. Right, so where should we start? Let's start with a gate going into our trigger. And then we'll send the output. I'm going to send it straight through a filter because it really needs filtering. As we're going to do a bassline, I'm going to send it through the carbon. So let's get a nice short cable. We'll go to the input of the carbon. Now the input is the third one up, as we quite rightly know, not the second one, which says in on it. We have to go to the third one. Now, as somebody has mentioned in the comments on my previous videos where I complained about this, a really good way of doing this is to get some pliers and just take this locking nut off and put a Bafako red one on, and then it will just show you exactly where the input is and you'll never get it wrong again. But now as I'm thinking about it, I know the input's there, so we're on the input. Let's send our low pass filter, so we're in low pass mode here. We'll send that into the mimeophone, but the mimeophone's fully dry. Send that. There we go. Right. So from here, actually no, let's give it pitch. Let's just make it a little bit more interesting, because without pitch it's a bit boring. And we're going through our low pass filter here, so let's just open that up. Add a kick. Now of course, that's sidechained. I've always got the kick sidechained. I don't have a module for that, but it's going through Ableton sidechained. So you can hear that pumps as we bring in the kick. Now the first thing I always like to do with the Loquelic is to actually make use of this envelope out. I never used to do it when I first bought it because I didn't really understand it, but if we send the envelope out and modulate our filter frequency, let's take that down. And then if we bring this in, if we just bring in that modulation, we're straight into acid basslines. Obviously the resonance, if we have the resonance high, we get that all familiar, lovely acid bassline. Now another thing I like to do is to just track volt per octave here, because we're going between we're going octaves here, so we just track that volt per octave. And the way we do that, I just use a mult here, and I don't have a mult in the case yet, so I'm just going to use one of these. Find a nice short cable. And then if we go, if we send the pitch in here, so that's still now just looping through here, but then also send it into the volt per octave. As we go up to those higher octaves, it just automatically opens up the filter. So it just sounds a little bit nicer. We take that out. Hear how even when we're going up an octave here, still sounds a little muted. Let's let that through. And then we can probably get away with just modulating this a bit less. There we go. Right, so there's our main bass line. Now, the way the Loquelic works, I've actually reset this already, but I'll just explain what I mean by reset. So this thing can go into mad territory, but what we always do is if we set all of these envelope parameters to 12 o'clock and these two pitch envelope parameters to 12 o'clock, then both of the oscillators and all four of these modulatable inputs have this envelope has not been sent. These are envelope sends, so it just keeps it nice and tame. So let's just see what the morph does. So it opens it up a little bit of fold. Mod. Bit like a high pass filter on the setting, on the algorithm that we're on, and then damp. Ooh, yeah, right, okay. Excuse my excitement there, but the damp. That's really deepened the bass line there. So now we can open this up a bit more. That's the sound right there. Okay, so these are our four modulatable inputs here, which go across the top. You can also modulate the envelope sends, but let's not go there. We'll just modulate these, and we'll use the mimetic here. So as standard, I've just sent the mimetic so that we can use faders to fade in our CV here, and it's just 16 random steps of CV that's set. So I'm going to send all four of these outputs, 1, 2, 3, 4, into 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll start playing with them. So I'll set these all with the same cable so it's easy to see. In theory, this should have no impact. Which it doesn't, no impact. One thing I haven't mentioned So if we bypass the filter, let's just take that out. So instead of going through the filter here, if we just go straight into the dry mimeophone, this should sound exactly the same. So if I open up the... That doesn't sound the same. Now if you can just see here, this light is lit up. That's the saturation going through the carbon. If I hold down this, increases the saturation. Listen to how the sound changes. That's maximum. So if we turn that off, that should, with no saturation, now sound the same. So let's just move that quickly. That sounds exactly the same now, but listen what happens when we bring in a bit of saturation. Here it just brings a few higher frequencies in there. We could go again. Now setting 2 is more obvious. That's a little bit too much, so I'm just gonna... Let's just go back to setting 1 because I like that. Bring back the envelope. Go back to our original sound. Okay. So our main oscillator here is our pitch. Second oscillator is synced to the first, so let's see how this affects it. Jesus Christ, listen to that. Now listen how low that goes. Maybe we can just open up the filter a bit. That really is a bassline there. That's too low for what we've got. Let's just try. Maybe we'll ignore this for now. We'll just stick with the lip. So let's just bring that back up a bit. Maybe there. How does this sound through the mimeophone? No, we'll skip that. I think we're too low. Let's just stay dry. Okay, so we haven't actually tried any of this yet, apart from the damp, which I really liked the damp up high. So let's just remind ourselves what it's like at 0. It's not very good. So let's set that where we like it. Is there any others that we like higher? It's nice, but it's not a bass line. Again, it's not a bass line. Yeah, maybe. But let's start at 0, so we can bring in the morph here on, because we've got each of these mapped up 1 to 4, 1 to 4 here. So let's bring the morph in. I quite like that high. But because we've got 16 random CV steps now, it's going up to where I liked it quite high, but also everywhere in between. So that's nice. So then the fold, where did we like the fold? Doesn't really have a lot of impact until we get right up here to 2 o'clock, and then it's going too far, so let's just see, maybe a bit of fold. Yeah, about there. It's just taking the edge off the bottom end, so we'll keep that one quite low. Then the mod. That's like a high pass filter, so we've got to be careful with the mod, so let's see where we go here. Yeah, even there that's enough. If we go high. No, too high for the bass line. Let's leave that nice and low. Okay, so the damp, we've already got up at 2 o'clock, so let's just lower. Yeah, the damp is no good there, so we can either set this really high, but because it's random, it's going to be... I don't like it down here. I like it higher, so let's go up to our 2 o'clock point. What happens if we go all the way? Ooh, okay, that's easy. So we start at 2 o'clock and we can just positively affect this and it will just go from the 2 o'clock round. I was wondering whether the other option is We could set this in. We could set this in the middle here, so that that's 0, and then we could choose to go higher, or we could choose to go lower than where we are. But I don't think we need to. We just need to go higher, because going from 2 to full, that's a great sound. So let's just start at the bass, modulate it in, and that gives us exactly what I want. Well, this is proving a bit easier than I thought. Right, let's try something that scares me. I'm going to try messing with the envelope, and then we're going to try doing some envelope sends as well. So let's start opening up the envelope, please. Which actually sounds better with less of the morph now. So if we take the morph off, God, I forgot how good this thing sounds. I'm going to have to use it more. Christ. And then if we increase the time, what's going to happen there? So that's now open so far, it'll be just side chaining massively. So let's turn off the kick. Open up the filter. Why is the filter making no difference? Oh, because we've got this open a lot. I wonder what happens if we reverse attenuate that. It's another sound. I'm going to stick with what we had, so let's go back to the positive. Yeah, I kind of prefer that a little bit more. Some hats. Let's stick with that. God, I love this thing. Right, let's go back into some kind of normality. Notice how when we lower this envelope, because we're opening up the filter, so if we go back high again, notice how it affects the filter cutoff. Oh, Jesus Christ, I've affected the pitch. So one of the things that's really infuriating with this module is when you're messing with it, you see how we've got these lights here. You've got an F for fine tuning and a C for coarse tuning on both oscillators. Now it's great to use the coarse when you're trying to find a new sound because it moves a lot, but if you're using the fine tuning, you don't get as much. So I always leave it on coarse to find the sound that I want, but you've got to remember to go back to fine. There we go, we're back to the pitch that we are on, but you've got to remember to go back to fine, because if you just nudge this when it's on coarse, you're getting half a semitone. So just be careful with that. So let's just put those both into fine mode. In fact, I don't think we're quite in the same tune, but it'll have to do. There we are. Oh, that's annoyed me. So yeah, always remember, put it back in fine tune if you're going to start performing, because this thing will just go off. It will go off. Slightest touch, it's gone. Right, what happens if we load shred? So, I'm talking about load shred. If you haven't heard about Mimetic, I've mentioned it a few times before, but I'll mention it again. You've got the 4 CV channels here. Now, if you want to save the current settings, you can just select all 4 tracks and then do save 1, and then you've got save 1, 2, 3, 4, and then actually these ones down here are 5, 6, 7, 8, so you've got 8 save banks here. So I've just saved everything into bank 1. If you do load shred, it will just randomize everything across, I think, 5 octaves. So let's see if we can hear the difference. Let's hear how the modulation across these has just changed slightly. Maybe if we bring back in the morph, save that in bank 2, and then switch back, see if we hear it. Ready? See how that's quite different now? Can't tell which one it is, but I think it's probably the morph. Let's go back to 2. Yeah, subtle, but it is different. So if you just keep doing load shred, save, load shred, save, you just do that across all 8 banks. We've got 8 save points. Now I do wish I could move between these save points, but unfortunately we can't do it. Or you just have to manually change. Which, yeah, it's not too bad on this. We're only modulating here, but if you're modulating pitch through here through a CV sequencer, it'd be nice if we could just get something to trigger and move to different banks. But here's what it is. I'm not going to complain. This is such a flexible module for the size. I'm always happy with it, and it always comes up. It always works great with other noise injury. I swear they've engineered these to be modulated by this and tamed by this. So these two together with whether you've got the Ataraxic, the Loquelic, Manis, BIA, anything that they've got, it will work really, really well with it. Right, let's see, what else can we do? I don't really want to go too far. Oh, I did say I'd do some envelope send, so let's just see how this goes. So you soon end up in mad worlds. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play until we get a new sound that comes out nice. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. No, I think we're going to stay with what we had. Maybe that fold send. You see when you're doing an envelope send into fold and you increase the time, how different the sound sounds. Right, let's just quickly finishing up. Let's just try and quickly bring in the Ataraxic and just see if we can create something. Let's just try and create some high end here. So in order to do that, we need to send, because Ataraxic doesn't have a built-in VCA, we've got to go through the Javelin envelope VCA. So we'll do that by sending the output to the input of the Javelin. And the output will go into channel 2 of, if I can find the right length cable, send that here, and then we just need to give it a gate. Running out of short cables, but hopefully you can see what's going on here. Right, why don't we have sound going into there? We've got gate. We have output. Oh, I haven't sent channel 2 out here, so let's send that. Right, this might need some tuning. Let me just turn it down once I tune it. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. Let's see what happens when we send the pitch. And then let's not send the Loquelic through Mimeophone. Let's just send the ataraxic so that we get some nice effects. Balance the sound. Kick. Okay, what I haven't explained here is I think I've left the Metropolics in an accumulator mode, which is why we're getting... So I'll just explain why the ataracic's sounding quite as it is. Yeah, we've got 3 accumulators here, so let's take the accumulators off. That's it. Right, so accumulators, just for anyone that doesn't know about Metropolics, so we can create a pattern here. So we got a pattern on track 2, which is our lip, which is this long. Track 1 is longer. And then if we send the ataraxic, what I've got is I can just send an accumulator. So we'll increase this. Every time this loops around, it'll go up by ±10. See how that's just going up? Do it on this note as well. Send that up 2. Send that up 2. So it just kind of climbs in this kind of long-running arc, which I quite like. I forgot I said that when I was last playing with ataraxic. I really like the high there. So yeah, maybe that's not quite in tune, but it'll have to do, I think, because we were messing with the ataraxic here and I knocked it out of tune. They were tuned to start with, so apologies that they're not quite tuned. In fact, let's just take that out. I'm quite happy with the bass line. So we'll just stick with that. So yeah, that's the Loquelic. I was going to go into it in more detail, but once you've got a nice bass line set up, it's nice to just leave it and then you can just play with it, so you can just move the sliders around. So basically, yeah, just play with it until you find something on the sliders that you like. And if you don't, load shred. Go again. Right, I hope that was okay. So, like I said, it's really difficult to demo this thing. I will try and have a bit more of a play with it and see if I can come up with something in a bit of a wider patch. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that. I'll try and spend a bit more time with this. Okay, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.